The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I want to share a beautiful story. The story came out of Eretz Yisrael. It's actually printed in a sefer. There was an individual. He was actually an El Al executive, a secular Jewish person. And one day he was traveling somewhere and he was very thirsty. So he stopped at a kiosk, one of those little tiny places that sells, some drinks and stuff like that. They only have them in Israel. They don't really have them in the United States. Israel doesn't have Wawa and 7-Eleven and those type of places. So he stops in there and he buys a bakbuk shtia, a drink of soda. I don't know what he bought. And it's 5 shekel. And he gives the proprietor a 10 shekel coin. And the proprietor gives him back a 5 shekel coin. He looks at the 5 shekel coin and he notices that on the proprietor's counter is a tzedakah box. And he takes the 5 shekel and he puts it in the tzedakah box. So the proprietor was a simple person, looks at him and says, "You just put all your change in the tzedakah box? 5 shekalim is הרבה כסף." So he smiles and he says to him, "Tzedakah tatzil mimavet." We all know tzedakah saves from death. Ma ze 5 shekel? What's 5 shekel? It's an easy investment in tzedakah tatzil mimavet. And the proprietor laughed and said, and he went on his way. Later that night, he had a wedding. And he was in the wedding hall, in the upper floor in the wedding hall. It was a multi-tiered floor. And everything was going great. And all of a sudden, actually the hall was Versailles, it was called Versailles. All of a sudden, because of a structural problem, the entire building collapsed. And we know it was a tragic event. And he was thrown from the top floor with debris falling on him from all the 4 sides. And in that split second, as he's falling, all of a sudden, he didn't even understand why. It reverberated in his mind. Tzedakah tatzil mimavet. Tzedakah saves from death. And he held on to that pasuk. He held on to that phrase. It's not pasuk. He held on to that phrase. And he fell. But somehow holding on to that phrase shielded, it cushioned his fall. And he walked out of the Versailles hall with not a scratch on him. Tzedakah tatzil mimavet.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org